I'm sure you know, sir, that those who felt that by now this Senate would have asked you to step down, I've seen now that we are focused on what we are doing, and whatever the level of allegation against you, any one of us, we will always ask for evidence, and we will do what is in overriding public interest. I just want to thank you, and I thank all our colleagues.
Answered you. But for the fact that you said those who would have asked you to step down, who told you I was going to step down? You know, if you watch the color in America, there are black people because of their skins who went to prison. Some 25 years for false allegations. So I'm not one of those people who will step down for false. Then when eventually it is proven that the allegation, they will say, oh, we were unfair to Akpabio. No, I'm not that bad. So if you had that in mind, please cancel it. So having said that, I must thank you for the words that you have spoken today. So I thank all my colleagues. I thank you for, I assure you, but most especially the credit goes to the 10th Senate for remaining focused.
So I don't know about you, but I'm going to ask anyway. Did any of you ever think, or did you think that Godswill Akpabio was going to step aside in spite of the multiple allegations against him? Even though Nigerians called for him to step aside, but knowing the crop of politicians that we have as Nigerians and Africans, did we ever think that an Akpabio will come up and say, I'm stepping aside for them to do an independent investigation, in spite of the repeated call by Nigerians for him to do exactly that? I guess the answer is rhetorical anyway. The question is rhetorical and the answer is as we think it is. But we're never that foolish or shallow to think that Akpabio was going to step aside for Nigerians to investigate the allegations against him. But then Akpabio comes on TV, on national TV or on the floor of the Senate and says to Nigerians, I was never going to step aside. Look at me like those Americans who have been alleged to have committed a crime and they found out 25 years later that they've not. He says, I was never going to be like that. So I'm laughing, I'm thinking, we knew that you were never going to step aside. We knew the kind of politicians that we have. From time that we know that they're not as honorable, and you're not as honorable as people would expect you to be, because when an allegation is raised against you, you're meant to step aside for, independent investigations to happen, but you did not do that. So we were not that stupid. But let's break down all the things that he said here, and then let's look into Akpabio's case in depth. But if you're meeting this content for the first time, like, share, and subscribe. And if you've been following us and you've not subscribed, please do so. And as well, recommend this channel to others, or make sure you watch it to the end. So first of all, I guess what Michael Bamidele here was talking about was the Natasha Akpoti's sexual harassment allegation. So based on that harassment allegation that Akpoti raised, Nigerians wanted him to step aside so that it can be investigated independently, a case which they killed with the help of Neda Imaswen. But Michael Bamidele was the same person who called Akpoti and threatened her. Because Senator Akpoti accused Bamidele of threatening her over criticism of Senate President Godswill Akpabio. And Bamidele obviously himself acknowledged a phone call, but stated that in an attempt to reconcile her with Akpabio, there was no threat. So he was trying to say, I called to reconcile the both of them, I didn't threaten her. So, but that's on one hand. So the key point here is, I'll come back to Bamidele's one. But remember, I've done a video of this before where we looked at multiple corruption allegations against Akpabio, as from when he was governor of Akwa Ibom State and then when he was the minister of the NDDC. The corruption allegations against Akpabio came up to 240 billion. 240 billion plus Akwa Ibom State funds and NDDC. So Michael Bamidele is asking for proof, evidence. Listen, evidence. It shouldn't be there if you have all of these things circling you as the Senate president. Corruption, allegations. What are the evidence you need for him to step aside for you to do a private, independent investigation? And remember, the EFCC had to stall that investigation when he became Senate president. In a normal society, Akpabio should not have contested for election until that investigation is completed. But yet, this man with corruption allegations totaling up to 240 billion is our Senate president, number 3 person in the country. Let's go to the next one. Election rigging allegations. That professor from 2019 is in jail right now. Akpabio is riding in convoys as the Senate president. That's another allegation. You should have stepped aside and say, you know what, this is too much. So we talked about the sexual harassment in Natasha Akpoti. But to now make it even more spicier, you find time to criticize Peter Obi. We know that's politics. To say that Peter Obi should go fix Labour Party before thinking about becoming president of Nigeria. Please, you put yourself side by side with Peter Obi because on the Senate floor, he still read his achievement. Because you want to put that side by side with Peter Obi's achievement when he's governor of Anambra State. They still don't marry. You were governor, he was governor. No one is coming to accuse him of any theft. But then you tell him to go fix Labour Party. And you said to him, go fix Labour Party. If you cannot fix Labour Party, is he going to deal with Boko Haram? Your political party have been in power for 10 years. You've not been able to fix insecurity. And then you're asking an opposition member or opposition party to go fix themselves. Why you have chaos in your one too, even though it's bad quiet right now? So with all of these allegations and things surrounding Akpabio, things that have come to a case where there's damage to public trust, where Nigerians are questioning your face as the Senate president, where Nigerians are looking at you and saying the impunity of corruption that is, perpetuated in the public service, where they look at you and think of the damage you did to Niger Delta, yet you're telling another person to go and fix his house. And then to now make it even much more spicier, you said you want to speak in the voice of Edwin Clark. Everything that Edwin Clark stood against is what you're known for. Corruption allegation, check. Election rigging, check. He wanted equity for all. With your Senate, there's no equity for all. Check. And what else as well again? I've mentioned corruption. You've done the same thing. You've corrupted the system. You've stolen from the system as has been alleged by EFCC. But yet you're the Senate president. So help us understand why you should speak in the voice of Edwin Clark, or tell us what Edwin Clark would have said. So the fact that you're the face of the Nigerian Senate, the body that is in charge of stamping every bill to become a law before the president attests to it and signs it into law. The fact that you've been enshrined in a lot of conversation about corruption tells us we are still backward. So we were never in doubt that you were going to resign or step aside. We knew you were never going to do that. So we were never that foolish. We were never that foolish. And then one of those things you were talking about, the things that you stood for or you're standing for are the things that Edwin Clark was against. Bad governance. Bad governance. How can you say you're Senate president and the law says that you vote by raising your hand so we can give account of those people who voted against and who voted for having an administrator take over the reins of River State, but you use voice vote and you accepted it and you laughed about it. And then you tell Nigerians that you know what you're doing and you're giving credit to the 10th Senate. That's one thing Edwin Clark was against. It was against bad governance. He fought for good governance. And you, as an example of bad governance, where you've joined the executive. The Constitution wanted you to do check and balance on the executive. You've become their mouthpiece. That's why you guys can sing on the Senate floor on the mandate of Bola Tinubu you stand. If you can sing like that, there's no check and balance anymore. And then Michael Bamidele is thinking and saying any accusation against any one of them it's like an old boys club. Now, this is to all Nigerians as well. They're feeling the pinch of what we're saying, and they know that until now, we were never involved in the governance of our country. Until now, they had the impunity to steal. What the internet is giving us is a tool to use to do check and balance what the Senate should have done, the legislature should have done. We are now doing their job for them. Nigerians are now doing the job of the Senate for them. And we cannot stop now. And as we head towards 2027, let's make sure that we ramp up this heat. I mean, I think it was Femi Falana that said intensify. Let's intensify this heat on them to make sure we get the kind of laws that we want, and to make sure that only the right people that are needed are in the place of authority so that Nigeria can work. Again, let us know in the comment section what you think when you watch this. What do you think about Akpabio's statement? It was never going to step aside. And what do you think about Bamidele's statement about saying that for us wishing that they would ask him to step aside? We were joking as well. That's how much they take us anyway. They value our opinions. Again, if you're meeting this content for the first time, like, share, and subscribe. And if you've been following us and you've not yet subscribed, please do so. And I will catch you up in the next video. God bless you. Bye-bye for now.